Shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afio Levi. Hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody is doing all right. Let's get into our discussion. Today's discussion is the Greek captivity and the Black Maccabees. We're going into Deuteronomy 28 and the Greek captivity. Do me a favor, tap the screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. This is a diaspora news channel as well as biblical-based commentary. We're going to get into the Feast of Dedication that many people are not aware of. Our holidays, folks, is not Thanksgiving. Our holidays is not Christmas. Our holy days or holidays, according to the Bible, include Passover, the Feast of Dedication, the Feast of Tabernacles. These are all biblical-based holidays that God already ordained, okay? So you don't need the Christian church or the Catholic church to come and give you a new Romanized pagan mixed amalgamation. Let's find out what our ancestors did. So we're going to go to the combination of Deuteronomy 28 and the Greek captivity to prove that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you fit the biblical-based generational curses and blessings of the Bible. We're going to start off first with Deuteronomy 27, verse 26. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 27, verse 26. This is for educational purposes only. Feel free to share the room with at least 10 people. Let's tap the screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 27, verse 26. Deuteronomy 27, verse 26. And it reads, and it shall, cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them, to do them, to do them. And all the people shall say, Amen. So when Moses was with the children of Israel in Mount Sinai, he said, cursed be he that confirms not all the words of this law to do them. So now, what is the generational curses impacting Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that prove that they're the lost tribes of Israel? Let's go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. Let's go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. This is going to explain and help us understand easily. Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. This is going to explain and help us understand easily curses of the Bible. Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear, y'all. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. All right. Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. All right, good. Thank you. All right, let's go to it. Let's go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. It says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, What's another word for captivity? It starts with the letter S. Slavery. So God says in the Bible, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us. The word scattered is the same term known as diaspora or dispersed. Were Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans dispersed all over the planet? Yes or no? Write Y for yes, write N if you're confused. When you examine the continent of Africa and the Americas, were Blacks, were Indians, were Aboriginals, were they scattered or dispersed all over the planet? Yes or no? Y for yes, and N if you're confused. So we're showing you the proof that the people that you call Black or Negro or Native Indigenous or Hispanic or Latino or African, that they fit what the Bible is talking about. So now here's the next question. Did Yiddish people that converted to a religion called Judaism, did they get dispersed as enslaved persons all over the planet? Yes or no? If your answer is no, that means that they were religious converts and they don't fit what the Bible talks about in regards to the lost tribes of Israel. Let's read it again. Baruch chapter 3, verse 8, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, meaning generational curses, and to be subject to payments. Subject to payments. So when you examine Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans all over our diaspora, we are in subjection to other nations, and we are forced to make payments or tribute or taxes or paying bills towards other nations. Think about it. When you pay your water bill, do you pay your water bill to a black CEO, or is your water bill owned by the governments of the same nation states that placed you in captivity? When you pay an electrical bill, is the CEO a black person, a Hispanic person, a native indigenous person, or is it the same nation and country, state, and kinfolk of those that don't have your best interests at heart? When you pay any type of resource in the Americas and Western civilization, do your people own it? Or is it the global elite that's running it? Is it the global elite that's in control? Let's read the Bible verse again. Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. It says, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments." So now the Bible is going to give you a reason why our people experience these things. It says, according to all the iniquities, aka sins, of our fathers, our fathers, our fathers. Who told you this Bible was about religion? Who told you this Bible was about religion? When it says our fathers, because of the sins of our ancestors, which departed from the Lord our God, hear Israel the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. How happened it, meaning how did it happen, Israel, that you are in your enemy's land? How are you old in a strange country? How are you defiled with the unalive? And then little do we know it, we don't even know our own history. We don't know who we were before captivity, before slavery. Listen, I asked my grandfather, who's 103 years old before he passed away. I said, who are black and brown people before we went into slavery? He says, I don't know. I asked the Christian pastor, who's 70 plus years old, who were we before slavery? He says, I don't know. I asked my father, who's 70 plus years old, I said, Father, who are we prior to slavery? So 3 generations of black men, one in his hundreds, another one close to 80, another one in his 70s, and they don't know who we were prior to slavery. And yet I'm reading in the Bible about a group of people known as the lost tribes. Lost tribes. How did they get lost? Let's read the Bible again. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 27, verse 26. It says, "Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them, and all the people shall say, Amen." Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. "Behold," meaning look, pay attention, "we are yet this day in our captivity," aka slavery. "We are yet this day in slavery, where thou," meaning where God, "has scattered us," meaning diaspora, meaning dispersed, "for a reproach and a curse," that's generational curses from generation to generation to generation, "and to be subject," meaning in subjection to, submission to, payments, payments, payments. If you pay a water bill to a nation that's not your people, that means you're subject to payments. If you pay a light bill to a nation that's not your people, that means you're subject to payments. If you pay anything in large, substantial amounts of money, whether rental properties, whether mortgages, whether loans and debt, and you don't pay your own people for it, that means you're subject to payments. What are we reading? The Bible. The Bible. The Bible. Shalom to you. Hope you're doing well. We're reading out of the Bible about the lost tribes of Israel. Who fits these prophecies? Not everybody fits these prophecies. The only ones that fit these prophecies are blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, people in the continent of Africa, people scattered in North, Central, South America, Caribbean islands, Asia, Europe, Africa, Oceania, as enslaved persons. Those suffering from colonialism, loss of identity, loss of culture. So now, what does the Bible say about the Greek captivity? When you read the Bible from Genesis to Malachi, it mentions Greece. But there's something wrong with the regular King James Bible that people have right now. There's a history that's missing from their Bible. The history that's missing is a book known as the Book of Maccabees. The Book of Maccabees are 2 books that were taken out of the original 1611 King James Bible. Now I'm going to show you and prove to you that the Greek history is mentioned in the Bible, and then we got to ask the question, how do we not find it in the regular Bible? Why do we have to look for extra books to find that history? Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Let's find that history. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 8, verse 21. Chapter 8, let's start at verse Daniel, chapter 8, verse 21. Only 10 people. Sharing is caring. Thank you, Queen, for following. Thank you for the new followers. Thank you for the subscribers that just joined on. We're going to Daniel chapter 8. Please support independent ministries. This is a listener-supported podcast, so please provide your contributions to assist in our efforts to teach the truth. All right, we're at Daniel chapter 8. Let's start at verse 21. It says, "And the rough goat is the kingdom of Grecia, and the great horn that is between the eyes is the first king." So the first king over the kingdom of Greece was known as who? Alexander the Greek. I don't call him Alexander the Great because there was nothing great about going to war and enslaving people. But he's known as great to his folks. He's not great to me. He's not great according to the Bible. He's just another Gentile amongst other Gentiles. Let's go to Daniel chapter 8, verse 21. It says, "And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king." Verse 22. "Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power." Meaning, out of Alexander the Greek's kingdom, you're going to have four separations of his empire. Meaning, four generals are going to rise up after Alexander the Greek passes away. So his kingdom doesn't go to his posterity. His kingdom goes to the military generals that fought with him. These four generals include Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Cassander, and Seleucid. So the Seleucid dynasty, the Ptolemaic dynasty, the Cassander and Lysimachus, those are the four Grecian generals that ruled. But here's the thing. We're reading this prophecy in Daniel, but we can't find the history of this prophecy. That means we have to go to the Book of Maccabees to help us explain this history that's missing from the regular King James Bible. Let's read on. Verse 23, Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. It says, "And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up." So this is going into someone that understands the Bible. "And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people." Meaning, this is going into the history of Antiochus. Antiochus was one that came and fought against the original inhabitants of Judea and enslaved them and destroyed the holy people. So now, with that understanding, let's go to that history. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. "We're proving to you that the history of the Greek captivity and Alexander the Greek is mentioned in the Bible. But your religious leaders do not want you to read these texts. They want to withhold information from you that can help you understand the Bible better. So we're going into hidden apocryphal writings. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. "And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim or Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece." Meaning, Alexander the Greek is mentioned in the Bible. Now, who is Alexander the Grecian a descendant of? Let's find out. Now, notice he's called a Macedonian. Let's go to 2nd Esther in the Apocrypha. Let's go to 2nd Esther in the Apocrypha, and let's find out who Alexander the Macedonian is related to. We're going to 2nd Esther, chapter 16, verse 10. It says, for Haman, a Macedonian, the son of Amadatha." So Haman in the Bible was a man during the time of the book of Esther that was trying to unalive all the Jews. Haman is known as a Macedonian. So let's find out who are the Macedonians according to the Bible. Let's go to 2nd Esther chapter 12 now, and let's find out another reference to Haman. Let's go to 2nd Esther chapter 12, verse 6. 2nd Esther chapter 12, verse 6, it says, Howbeit Haman, the son of Amadathas, the Agagite. So Haman, known as the Macedonian, was also referenced as the Agagite. So who are the Agagites according to the Bible? In order to find that out, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 8. Let's go to 1 Samuel in the regular Bible, chapter 8, verse 15. 1 Samuel chapter 8, 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 15. And it reads, 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 15. Nope, that's not what I want. I want 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 8. Sorry about that. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 8, it says, And he took Agag, the king, so the Agagites come from the king, Agag, the king of the Amalekites. So the Macedonian Greeks were also known as Amalekites. So who was the forefather of the Amalekites? Let's go to Genesis chapter 36. Let's go to Genesis, to the very beginning of nations, chapter 36. Genesis chapter 36. Let's start at verse 1. It says, Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Verse 12. And Timnah was concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. So what did we just find out? We found out that the Amalekites are sons of Esau. The Macedonians are sons of Esau. Therefore, by default, Alexander the Greek was a Edomite. Alexander the Greek was a descendant of the Edomites. Let's go back to First Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, now we know that these are the descendants of the Amalekites who are Edomites. It says, had smitten Darius, kings of the Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. From there, let's go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 39. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 39. We're going to go to the book of Daniel chapter 2, verse 39. The book of Daniel. I hope you're learning a lot listening to the Forefront Radio. If you're new to the Forefront Radio, we're a diaspora news channel dedicated to teaching the history of our people in the Bible and correlating it to today. Feel free to subscribe to the Forefront Radio for more updates, and please contribute to our live goal. This is a listener-supported podcast, so we appreciate all those that contribute to us teaching the truth. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 39. Daniel chapter 2, verse 39, and it reads, And after thee, meaning after Babylon, after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee. That kingdom that came right after Babylon was Persia. And another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. So that third kingdom that came after Persia is Greece. So the first empire is Babylon. The second is Persia. The third is Greece. All right, from there, let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 6. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 6. It says, After this I beheld, and lo, like a leopard, another beast or another kingdom like a leopard. This kingdom that's described as a leopard is known as the kingdom of Greece, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The four wings represents the four generals that came after Alexander the Greek. Once again, Alexander the Greek, then after that, four generals took his place. It says, the beast that had four heads, and dominion was given unto it. From there, let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 17. Daniel chapter 7, verse 17. It says, These great beasts, which are four, are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. So this shows you that a beast represents a kingdom. Four kings or four kingdoms arise through the kingdom of the Greeks, through the kingdom of Alexander the Greek. Let's go back, First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece." So what happened after Alexander the Greek died of syphilis and gonorrhea due to his sodomite tendencies? Let's read verse 7. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "So Alexander reigned 12 years, and after that he passed away, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after he passed away, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth." So now we understand why they decided to take this out of the Bible. Because when you read the History Channel and National Geographic and Discovery, they tell you that the Greeks were the dawn of Western civilization. But when you read the actual Bible, it says evils were multiplied in the earth. So now what kind of evils were multiplied on the earth? Let's find out. Let's go to the book of Amos, chapter 1, verse 9. Let's go to the book of Amos, chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant." So what happened? God says that the indigenous inhabitants of the Tyrians sold the children of Israel, the sons and daughters of Jacob, to the children of Esau Edom, who are also known as who? The Greeks, the Romans, the Europeans, the Americans, the Australians. You see that? So why did God say evils were multiplied on the earth? Because the whole captivity, the word captivity means slavery, was given to the children of Edom, aka Greece. Let's read to verse 11. Amos chapter 1, verse 11, it says, "Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom," meaning for 3 sins of Greece, "and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Because," now God is going to tell you why he's not turning away his punishment, "because he did pursue his brother, aka Jacob, aka blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, aka Africans, he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity. His anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever." So God says out of the Bible, the reason why he will not turn away his punishment from Greece is because he pursued his brother with war, with colonization, with slavery, with captivity, with neocolonialism. From there, let's go to Joel chapter 3, verse 6. If you're confused, let's read another text of scripture that'll give more clarity. Let's go to Joel chapter 3, verse 6. Joel chapter 3, verse 6. It says, "The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border." So now, we're reading out of the Bible that the children of Judah were sold, aka put into slavery, sold as enslaved persons to the Grecians. So now, if you're confused on that, what is the description of the tribe of Judah according to the Bible? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. It says, Judah mourneth," the same tribe Jesus came from. "Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black." What does the Bible say? They are black. What does the Bible say? They are black unto the ground. "And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up." So put a 1 in the chat if you see out of the Bible that the tribe of Judah says they are black. Put a 2 in the chat if you're confused. Put a 1 in the chat if you see that based on the Bible, the tribe of Judah, they are black according to the Bible. So now, if we understand that the tribe of Judah is black, then who are the Greeks? The Greeks, we know, are who? So-called Europeans. So if the Greeks are so-called Europeans, put a 3 in the chat if you agree that the Greeks are so-called Europeans. Put a 4 in the chat if you're confused. So the tribe of Judah, they are black. The children of the Grecians, they are European or Eurocentric. So that's telling you who placed who in captivity. Let's go back. Joel chapter 3, verse 6. What are we reading? The Bible. Joel chapter 3, verse 6. It says, the children also of Judah, Jesus is from the tribe of Judah, King David is from the tribe of Judah, Solomon is from the tribe of Judah. They are black, according to the Bible. And the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians. The Grecians are the descendants of who? The Amalekites, who are the Macedonians, who are the Edomites. Okay, from there, let's go back. Amos chapter 1, verse 11, it says, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions, meaning 3 sins of Edom, aka the Edomites, aka the Greeks, aka the Romans, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, meaning love your neighbor as yourself was not in the mindset of Europe, Greece, Rome, Portugal, Spain, America, United States, when they were enacting the captivity of the sons and daughters of God. Let's read it again. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath or his anger forever. Correct. Fulfilling that prophecy. Correct. From there, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. So, the children of Israel who lived in Egypt, which was in Africa, were told by Moses that if you listen to God's laws, you will be the top ruling nation on the planet, meaning complete and utter domination over the world. But if you broke God's commandments, you would suffer from generational curses. These curses include slavery. These curses include loss of identity. These curses include Greek Hellenization, or assimilation into the New World Order, becoming Greek citizens, Roman citizens, European citizens, African citizens, American citizens. That's what happened to the lost tribes of Israel. They lost their identity, their culture, and got amalgamated into the world of the Gentiles. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, meaning it will happen in the future, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, meaning if you don't listen to this Bible, it says, to observe to do, that's an action word, all his commandments, and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So what was told to the children of Israel? They were told specifically, if you didn't listen, not to my religion, not to my church, not to Baptist, not to Pentecostal, not to Catholic, not to Islam, not to Judaism, not to Kabbalism, but if you don't follow my commandments and my law, generational curses would follow you, which shows you that the Christian church has done a piss poor job teaching us the Bible, because they tell us we don't got to do God's law anymore. When you don't keep God's laws, you're going to suffer generational curses. If you're not obedient to God, you're going to suffer generational curses. In order to break the generational curses, you have to be obedient to God's laws, statutes, and commandments. That's easy to understand. Let's go there. From there, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 49. Let's find out what happened to the children of Israel due to disobedience to God's laws. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 49. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 49. It says, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whoso would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said that he should unalive. Meaning, when the Greeks came into power, they forced the Israelites to assimilate into their religion, Greek sports, Greek ideology, Greek politics, to forget the law. Meaning, by default, if the children of God forgot their laws, they would have to be perpetually in captivity to other nations, meaning the divine protection was taken away from us. Watch this. From there, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. So what was the generational curses that happened to the children of Israel? 'Israel? 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 ' Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Deuteronomy 28, verse 16, and it reads, Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. So when you examine the sons and daughters of Jacob, no matter where they go throughout the world, the Bible says, Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. That means who is living in the ghettos and slums of the planet? Who is living in the favelas of Brazil? Who is living in the shanty houses of Africa? Who is living in the ghettos of America, in the slums of Europe? Who is living in the worst conditions no matter where we are across the planet? Let's read it again. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field, in the field, in the field. What group of people, cursed for disobedience to God's laws, are forced to work in the cotton field, the sugarcane field, the coffee field, the tea field? You think in modern times that doesn't apply today? When you ask somebody, what's your job? They say, I work in the construction field. What's your job? I work in the electrical field. What's your job? I work in the janitorial field. So these fields, or AKA plantations, still exist today. They've just shifted in modern times to new terms. And they pay you minimum wage. I don't care if you're making six figures. That's minimum wage. I don't care if you're making 60, 70,000 a year. That's minimum wage. You were made to rule the world. You were made as royalty to rule over this planet. No, there was no reason for you to become a serf or a peasant in the kingdom of the Gentiles. There was no reason whatsoever. Okay. From there, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 18. So now we're going to show you that same thought process of us cursed in the city and cursed in the field during the Greeks and Roman time period. First Maccabees chapter 8, First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 18. It says, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude, with servitude, with servitude. So we're reading here that the children of Israel were forced under the Greeks and the Romans to serve under their kingdom. Watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Because remember, it mentions a yoke, right? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. We try to help the Bible make sense for those that have never studied it. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, that's Greece, that's Rome, which the Lord shall send against thee. Meaning, once we decided to be disobedient to God, God allowed the Gentiles to come against us. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So now let me show you a picture so that way you know that the Bible is a true book. Let's read it again. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thou enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he, referring to the Greeks and the Romans, shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Put a 1 in the chat if you see that this person depicted during the antebellum time period has a yoke around his neck. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you see that. Put a 1 in the chat if you see that we're reading out of the Bible, and the very description that we're reading, you can see it with your own two eyes, showing you what? The Bible is a true book. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So now, what does it mean when it says until he have destroyed thee? That basically indicates that the children of Israel, the sons and daughters of Jacob, would forget their identity. They would forget their culture. They would forget who they are. They would call themselves misnomers. For example, colors in a crayon box, such as black, colored, Negro, African, African American, Hispanic, Latino, West Indian, African, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Kenyan, Ethiopian. All of these terms are misnomers. Jamaican, Trinidad and Tobago, Brazilian, Afro-British, Afro-Iraqi, Afro-Persian, Afro-Negrita, Melanesian. All of these are misnomers of the lost tribes of Israel scattered across the planet. From there, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 41. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 41. It says, "Thou shalt beget sons and daughters," meaning you're going to have sons and daughters, "but thou shalt not enjoy them," meaning you're not going to enjoy having your sons and daughters, "because they shall go into captivity." What's another word for captivity? Slavery. Please subscribe to the Forefront Radio. Your efforts go to support independent media and news and commentary and biblical-based insight that you will not find nowhere else on TikTok. We like to inform the general public, but we can't do it without your support. Subscriptions do assist in us building up a documentary series that we're working on. So please feel free to contribute to our live efforts. From there, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 41. During the time of the Grecians, during their history, the same thing happened. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 41. It says, "And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel, for slaves. A power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves unto them." What are we reading? The Bible, the Bible, the Bible, the Bible. This is in every Bible, but we have been not taught the Bible correctly in order to understand who it is talking about. From there, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. It says, "And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropes at darkness. Thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropes at darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy way, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee." So did this happen to us during the Grecian Empire? Yes, it did. Let's go back. First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 18. First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 18. And it reads, "And to entreat them that they should take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude, with servitude, with servitude." So we're seeing and observing that the Bible is a true book. From there, let's go to Joel chapter 3, verse 6. Let's go to Joel chapter 3, verse 6. We're going to go to Joel chapter 3, verse 6. What are we reading today, folks? We're showing you Black history in the Bible, Hispanic history in the Bible, African history in the Bible, and European history in the Bible. We're showing you the interrelation between the children of the Grecians and the sons and daughters of Jacob. Joel chapter 3, verse 6, it says, "The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians." The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border. Meaning what? The children of Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that lived in the Middle East, that lived in Egypt, that lived in Saudi Arabia, that lived in the land of Israel, that lived in Lebanon, that lived in Syria, that lived in Turkey, they were removed from their quarters, removed from their borders, and they were exiled out of wherever they were and sent to the outskirts of the world, sent to West Africa, sent to Congo, sent to Ethiopia. Then the descendants of the Arabs, the descendants of the Greeks, the descendants of the Romans, who we call today France, Turkey, Spain, Portugal, the Ottomans, Saudi Arabia, Britain, China, Asia, and America and Australia, they had their part in scattering the sons and daughters of Jacob all over the planet. Let's go back. First Maccabees chapter 4. First Maccabees chapter 4. First Maccabees chapter 4. We're going to read verse 61. It says, "And that they set a garrison to keep it and fortify Bethsura to have a defense against Idumea." Let's read verse 60. It says, "And at that time also they builded up Mount Sion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down, as they had done before." So now, we're reading during the time of the Greeks that our ancestors fought against the Greeks. They won back their territories during the time of the Maccabean dynasty, and they set up walls to protect themselves from the Gentiles. Now, Jesus forewarned that the Gentiles would come back after 70 AD and go to war with our ancestors, destroy Jerusalem, send us into slavery, and tread all up and down Jerusalem to this day. Now, let's prove that with the words of Christ himself. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 24. Luke chapter 21, verse 24. And it reads, "And they," referring to the Israelites, shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, into all nations, into all nations, into all nations." So now, when you ask a question for those that read the Bible, did Yiddish people that converted to a religion called Judaism, did they go into captivity in all nations? Yes or no? Did they go into captivity in all nations? Yes or no? The answer is no. People that converted to a religion called Judaism that come from Germany, did they go into captivity in all nations? Yes or no? Yes or no? If your answer is no, that means they don't fit the prophecies of this Bible. Russian people that converted to a religion called Judaism, did they go into captivity in all nations? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? If your answer is no, that means they don't fit the prophecy. Watch this. It says, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled." Showing you who's living in Jerusalem today? The Gentiles. The people that call themselves Yiddish, they are the Gentiles. Right? Watch this. So now, while the real sons and daughters of Jacob are on the bottom of society, the Gentiles are living it up. They're on the top of society. Why? Because our ancestors broke the generational curses. Therefore, one of those curses includes poverty. One of those curses includes loss of identity. One of those curses includes slavery, loss of culture, loss of language. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43. It says, "The stranger, aka the Gentiles, that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail." So now, what do you notice that's very common in multicultural civilization? While they promote a social hierarchy and give us the illusion of a post-racial society, in reality, the Gentiles are on top, ruling as the head, while the children of Jacob are forced to make payments to the same nations of Gentiles. Meaning what? If you go to Saudi Arabia, the Gentiles are in rulership, black people are in the bottom, Hispanics are in the bottom. If you go to the continent of South America or Central America, you'll notice black people are on the bottom, indigenous populations of Latinos are on the bottom, and you have Germans coming into Argentina, Germans coming into Brazil. You have various other Gentiles that are there. Like, for example, in Mexico, there's a German Yiddish woman, right, that is ruling as the current person in charge of Mexico, but she's one of the Germanic people. She's a Gentile. I will be shocked to see a black president in Mexico. From there, let's go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 8 to verify what we just read. It says, Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, meaning where you have dispersed us among the Gentiles, amongst the strangers, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments. Meaning what? The Gentiles are going to lend to us, and we're going to have to pay them payments to pay off those loans. And they charge us usury in excruciating loans that don't make sense. For example, a house in 1980 would cost $25,000 to $50,000. That same house now costs you $400,000 to $500,000. But the wages have not excelled past $200,000 for you to be able to pay for a $500,000 home. Showing you that we're still in captivity, folks. We're still suffering the generational curses written of in this Bible. From there, let's go back to First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 61. First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 61. It says, First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 61, it says, that they, referring to the sons and daughters of Jacob, set there a garrison, meaning a military fort, to keep it and to fortify Bethsura, to preserve it, that the people, meaning the sons of Israel, may have a defense against Idumea, against Edom, against Greece, against Rome. So now notice this. No matter where we go to throughout the world, our people are so oppressed that we can't even set up a military force to protect ourselves from Western influence. And if we do have a military force, best believe it's controlled by Western influence. Watch this. Here's the proof of that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Verse 25, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 25, it says, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Meaning what? You'll set up a military force, you'll set up the forts, you'll set up castles, you'll set up barriers to protect yourself from the heathen, but thou shalt go out one way against them and flee seven ways before them, and shall be removed meaning taken out of your holy land, into all the kingdoms of the earth. So now let's examine this. Let's count all the major captivities that the sons and daughters of Jacob were in the Bible. Number 1, Egypt. Number 2, Assyria. Number 3, Babylon. Number 4, Persia. Number 5, Greece. Number 6, Rome. Number 7, America. So the largest empire that's ruling over today is America. So, is America mentioned in the Bible? Not by name, but we can look at the prophecies and find out how America fits the prophecies of this Bible. From there, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. Deuteronomy 28, verse 49. It reads, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So, what is the Bible saying? The Bible is telling us that the nation that would hold the children of Israel in captivity is represented as the eagle. What was the symbol of ancient Greece? The eagle. What was the symbol of ancient Rome? The eagle. What was the symbol of ancient Germany? The eagle. What are the flags that you can find of all of these nation states in Europe? You will find Britain had an eagle, Spain had an eagle, France had an eagle, And the number one country that's ruling the earth today, make America great again, the United States of America, is symbolized by that good old eagle. What are we reading? The Bible. The Bible. Is America symbolized as the eagle? Right. 1 for yes, right? 2 for no. When they allegedly landed on the moon, did they not say the eagle has landed? When you check the back of your dollar bill, did they not say the eagle is on your dollar bill? Did they not say the eagle is on your United States Postal Service? If you join the military, will you not see an eagle statue or gold emblem on top of the flag? What are we reading? The Bible. The Bible. So the children of Esau, Edom, the children of Greece, the children of Rome, they are represented as the eagle. When they sing their songs of the national anthem and say, God bless America, they have the representation of the eagle. What are we reading? The Bible. This is in every Bible, y'all. This is in every King James Bible. So we find out that one of the kingdoms that had the children of Israel in captivity was the kingdom of Greece. Greece was also known as Idumea or Edom. Greece also morphed into the kingdom of the Edomites and the kingdom of the Romans. From there, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 5. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 5. If you're learning more information than you've ever learned during your time going to church, feel free to subscribe to the Forefront Radio. Your subscriptions assist us in teaching the truth and breaking the barriers. Please support independent media and independent content. You will not hear this in church. You will not hear this on the Discovery Channel, but we're matching up history with the Bible to prove that the Bible is a true book. First Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1. It says, Now when the nations round about heard that the altar was built, and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Meaning what? The Gentiles do not want you to establish your own system. They don't want you to have your own church. They don't want you to have your own religious practices. They don't want you to have your own government. They don't want you to have your own military. They don't want you to have your own banking systems. They don't want you to have your own hospital systems, because they know once you're obedient to God and you're keeping his commandments, God is going to bless you above them. Think about it. Think about it. Every Black and Latino country that's established on the earth, notice how Western influence always perpetuates keeping them at the bottom. Examine Bahamas, examine Jamaica, examine Haiti, examine Venezuela, examine Argentina, examine Brazil, examine Ghana, examine Malawi, examine Nigeria, examine Kenya. Every nation that was influenced by British influence, Spain's influence, France's influence, these gentilic nations are at the top while we're at the bottom. So right here in the Maccabees, our ancestors were reestablishing themselves after their sons and daughters were taken into slavery by the Greeks. And the nations, meaning all of them, meaning the Arabians, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Grecians, the Romans, they were displeased. Let's read on. Wherefore, they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them. And thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Meaning what? The Gentiles never had an affinity with the sons and daughters of Jacob. The Gentiles always wanted to seek to slay and destroy God's chosen people. Verse 3, Then Judas, that's one of our ancestors, Judah Maccabeus, fought against the children of Esau in Idumea, at Arabatine, because they besieged Israel. They besieged Israel, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils. So let's find out the prophecy about our people being besieged. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28. Let's read verse 52. It says, and he, referring to Edom, referring to Babylon, referring to Greece, referring to Rome, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God have given thee. Y'all see that? So the prophecy is telling us that that the Gentiles would besiege our countries, besiege our territories, besiege our cities. So now, what is that parallel to today? Now, they don't call it besieging. They don't send military to invade anymore. Now, what they do is economic sanctions. That's an economic sanction is them using their political influence and military influence to force economic destitution of a nation that they disagree with. So if America says, or if Europe says, we don't want you to trade with this country, for example, Zimbabwe, right? We don't want you to trade with Zimbabwe. Guess what? That hinders development of that nation. Do not let any economics professor or political commentator deceive you to think that the global north, quote unquote, wants to develop the quote unquote global south. Don't ever let them deceive you. They will never give you the tools to supersede them. Do not ever deceive yourself to believe that the Gentiles will hand over their economic power to make you abundantly wealthier than them. They will always, if they can't influence you politically, they will try to influence you economically. And the last result is military intervention. And unfortunately, in some cases, the first result is military intervention. That's what Gentiles do, y'all. Let's go back. First Maccabees chapter 5, verse 3. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea at Arabatine, because they besieged Israel. And he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils, showing you that our ancestors did not take it lying down. This parallels to the various organizations that fought during the civil rights era in the Americas, such as the Black Panther Party, such as the Brown Berets, such as the Young Lords. Various communities were developed in the Hispanic community, the Latino community, the Black community, the Native Indigenous communities. We all were standing up to fight against Esau, Edom, aka Greece, aka Rome. Let's read on. It says, also he remembered the injury of the children of Bean, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, and that they lay in wait for them in the ways. So what does it mean when it says he laid in wait for them in the ways? The children of Bean is another group of Edomites or Gentiles that fought against our people and lied in wait. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 47. How did our forefathers Mattathias deal with the influence of the Gentiles? Let's find out. It says, they pursued also after the proud men, the proud men, the proud men. Do we have a group in America called the Proud Boys? Yes or no? So our ancestors fought against the quote unquote proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law, meaning the Bible, out of the hand of the Gentiles, meaning what? The Gentiles at that time, when they placed our people in captivity, they stole the Bible and started to place their images in the Bible to make it seem like the people of God were Edomites, Gentiles, Greeks, Romans, and it's the same thing today. It says, so they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings, neither suffered they the sinner of triumph. Now, when the time drew, so I just wanted to show you that. So now, watch this. Let's go to the influence of religion and false religion. Because Deuteronomy 28 has a prophecy about our people following after false religion. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand. Put a 2 in the chat if you're confused. So let me show you the prophecy about false religion. One moment. All right, let's continue where we left off. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. It says, "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth to the other. And there," meaning once you got off those slave ships, once you were dispersed from one side of the planet to another, once you were taken from Africa to the Americas, and from Americas to Europe, and from Africa to Saudi Arabia, and from Africa to China, and from the Middle East to Afghanistan, and from the Middle East to Persia, and from the Middle East all the way to America, and from the west coast of Africa all the way to the Caribbean islands, or once that happened to you, once the Lord scattered you or dispersed you among all people from one end of the earth to the other, there you would serve other gods, meaning other religions, other churches, other institutions, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood, that's the wooden cross of Christianity, and stone, that's the Kaaba stone and the stone of Islam, showing you that the two major religions that had their part in the oppression of the sons and daughters of Jacob created false religions in order to brainwash the people. So now, how does this relate to the Grecian captivity? Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Going into what? False religion. False religion. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 41. It says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all shall be one people." So this is the assimilation. This is New World Order. This is spreading democracy, spreading freedom in the Bible. Verse 42. "And everyone should leave his laws. So all the Gentiles, all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yes, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion." His religion, his religion. So the religion of the Greeks and the Romans is the religion of what today? We call it Roman Catholicism, Roman Christianity, Greek Orthodox. We call it Greco-Roman or Protestant European religion. That's what we call it today. That's what it is. Whether Baptist, Pentecostal, they come from Gentiles. Whether it's Church of Latter-day Saints, it comes from Gentiles. Seventh-day Adventist, Mennonite, Amish, it all comes from Gentiles. All of these major religions that are on the earth, that missionaries and militaries forcefully instructed the people are through colonization, conquistadores, and invasion, that's how you learned about a European savior. When in reality, the Bible says that the God of the Bible is melanated and the children of Israel are melanated people, black and brown people. Watch this. "Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath." Meaning what? They no longer kept the Sabbath day holy. They now kept Sunday holy. They no longer worship the God of the Bible. They worship statues and pictures and depictions of European people as deities. That's what's going on today. When you examine world history, most of the deities in ancient times were black. All throughout Africa, all throughout Asia, all throughout China, most of the deities that people worshipped in ancient times were black. It wasn't until the influence of the Greeks and the Romans, Spain, Portugal, France, Britain, Denmark, Netherlands, Scandinavia, Australia, America, then people started to switch over to the dominant culture and have depictions of Zeus as Saint Peter, have depictions of Diana, the god of the Ephesians, as Mother Mary. That's what's happening today in our era. In our time frame, we worship Santa Claus, Superman, Batman, and we don't call them gods anymore. We call them superheroes. Let's read on. It says, "For the king had sent letters by messenger unto Jerusalem and to the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land," showing you that Christianity, modern Christianity, is not the early Afrohebraic belief system of the disciples of Christ. Modern religion today follows after Greeks and Romans. Here's the proof. It says, "And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple." When you go to church, do they offer burnt offerings, a barbecue, and a drink offering to the God of the Bible? The answer is no. But do they offer cookouts, barbecue, and drink offerings to idols? Yes, you have a holiday tomorrow called Thanksgiving. Many people are going to associate themselves with church. They're going to pray. They're going to thank God for the destruction of the children of Israel, whom Christopher Columbus and his cohorts enslaved. That's what they're going to do tomorrow on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. They're going to thank God for our destruction, and they're going to praise their idols. They're going to have a barbecue. They're going to have a cookout. They're going to sacrifice a turkey or a pig, and then they're going to cook it on a grill or roast it and eat it and give glory to the God of Abraham, when really God don't give a damn about their Thanksgiving Day at all. Watch this. "And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days." Do we celebrate the festival days or holidays of the Bible, such as Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah, such as Passover, which is done in the spring, which is our Independence Day? Or do we celebrate the Feast of Ishtar, known as Easter? Easter, Ishtar, same God, same pagan fertility deity. Do we celebrate Saturnalia, who we call the Christmas week? Do we celebrate Lupercalia, which is Valentine's Day? Do we celebrate Thanksgiving, which celebrates the destruction of native indigenous populations? Yes, we do. It says, "And pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars." Is there an altar in the Christian church? Yes. "And groves." Are groves established in the Christian church? That's your Christmas tree. Yes. "And chapels of idols." Go to the Anglican church right now and tell me if you don't see statues of idols all over the place. Statues and images that they tell you is Mother Mary, St. Peter, St. Paul, St. John, when in reality, these are the remixed images of Zeus, Aphrodite, Venus, okay, Mother Maya or Gaia, right? These statues that they put in these churches are all Greek and Roman gods that they remixed and just said, we're going to just make this an image of Jesus, when really it's a statues of Zeus and Aphrodite. We're going to say that's Mother Mary, even though that's Diana, even though that's Venus. We're going to say that this lady right here is Diana, is Mother Mary. That's what they did. Chapels of idols. So where do you go to worship in a chapel? In a church. This is Christianity before it was Christianity. Now watch this. "And sacrifice swine's flesh, and unclean beast." So put a 1 in the chat if we know that during Christmas and during Thanksgiving, they sacrifice swine's flesh. They cook pork chops, pork leg, pork belly, rump roast. That's what they cook on these pagan holidays, aka festival days by the Greeks and Romans. So the job of the Romans and the Greeks was to convince you to serve Lucifer, their father, Lucy, aka Hellas, aka the Greeks, aka Hellel, instead of follow after the God of this Bible. That's all this boils down to. Are you going to worship the Gentiles and serve them, or are you going to turn back to the God of this Bible? Are you going to serve the God of this Bible, or are you going to live for this world? That's what this boils down to. From there, we had traders. Hold on, there's more information. So we just read Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. We read First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Now let's go to Second Maccabees chapter 6 and prove to you that the Greeks and the Romans, when they came into power, they were forcing us to worship their Greek and Roman gods. I'm going to prove it to you now. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. Let's start at verse 1. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 1. It says, "Not long after this, the king sent an old man at Athens to compel the Israelites to depart from the laws of their fathers and to not live after the laws of God." So what was the job of this person? To convince you to leave your religion, which is God's commandments, to now serve in the religion of the Greeks and Romans. Watch this. Verse 2. "And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Jupiter Olympius." So Jupiter is the Roman name for Zeus. Jupiter is the Roman name for the god known as Zeus. And that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, aka Gentiles, as they did desire that dwell in that place. So what did the Greeks and the Romans do when they came into power? They forced our people to now worship Zeus. They worshiped Jupiter Olympus. The proof of that is Black people's and Hispanic people's fascination with sports. Sports comes from the Olympic Games. What god was the god of the Olympias? Zeus. So our people absolutely love, to sit in their stadiums, their coliseums, and play Olympic games. Games such as discus, where you threw a frisbee across. Now they changed it and made it a pigskin filled with air, and they said we're going to throw the football. Or if you're in Latin American countries, they place you in a stadium and they make you kick a ball and call it a soccer ball or football, foot with your feet. So you have American football, and then you have international football, which people kick from all the way from Asia to Europe to Africa to America to Australia. Why is it? I want you to think about this. If the Bible wasn't a true book, why is it that every nation celebrates sports, have sporting arenas based on the Olympic Games? And every 4 years, what do? They have the Olympic Games. All of the nations meet at a specific location and they celebrate Olympic Games. Tap the screen, get the like, sub, share the room with at least 10 people, y'all. If you're learning information that's beneficial to you, please tap the screen, get the like, sub, share this information, y'all. So we're paralleling what we're reading in the Bible with what we see going on in today's time. This is remarkable information that you will not learn in your church. You will not learn this on Discovery Channel. You will not learn the parallels between history and biblical-based prophecy. Thank you for following the Forefront Radio. So let's continue. We're at 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 2. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and that the Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they had desired them that dwell in the place. The coming of this mischief, notice what the Bible is calling this. Worshipping Zeus and celebrating Olympic Games was not called a blessing, because you got some people that go to church. Right after they go to church, they convince their children to have basketball games right after church. The coming of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. For the temple, watch this, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, meaning parties. Watch this. Who dallied with harlots, and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. And besides that, brought in these things that were not lawful. So now, I want y'all to think about what we're reading here. The Greeks and the Romans dallied with harlots in the temple, meaning they turned the church into a night bar. They turned the church into a brothel. People say nowadays, if you want to go find you a girlfriend, just go to church. Tell me that's not the case. Tell me that's not the case. They turned the temple of God into a club. Tell me you don't see people in church singing and dancing to secular music right now. Tell me you don't see the same people that go to church on Sunday will go out of the church and go to the club that night or that evening, or they'll be partying and reveling. The term reveling means partying. Let's read on. It says, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful, meaning they were eating pork and unclean foods. The altar also was filled with profane things, meaning unclean foods like shrimp, crab, lobster, which the law forbids, meaning what? It was forbidden in the Bible for us to eat unclean foods, y'all. Shrimp, crab, lobster, pork, those were all abominations that lead to parasites, that lead to sickness, seasickness, disease. God tells you what to eat and what not to eat. But because we want to be rebellious and follow the Gentiles, you're going to live like a Gentile. Watch this. Verse 6, neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feast, or profess himself at all to be a Jew. So if you can't say that you're an Israelite, what did you call yourself? Verse 8. Moreover, verse 7. And in the day of the king's birth, meaning the birthday of the king, every month, they were brought by bitter constraint, meaning forced, to eat of the sacrifices. Y'all, it was so bad. If you did not eat the pork, they would unalive you. They would emulate you. Seriously, that's how bad Greek influence was at this time. Watch this. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, now Bacchus is another god, as is the god of wine and the god of fertility. Y'all know what I mean when it says fertility. They was doing all type of clapping and smacking and evil stuff, right? It says when the feast of Bacchus was kept. Now Bacchus, another name for another name for Bacchus is Dionysus or Hercules. Okay. It says the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. So now the perfect example of this is like your Mardi Gras. It's like your carnivals where you see our people dancing and singing in the streets in parades during these festivals, and they're carrying foliage around them. They're carrying those leaflets. They're carrying ivy around their necks, right? Like in Halloween, and not Halloween, in Hawaii, they have those little reefs that they put around you, right? In the Caribbean island, they do the same thing. They're scantily clothed in bathing suits, and they're dancing around and singing. And this is the same thing we're reading here in the Bible. And you know for a fact, once they have their carnival, their Dias de los Muertos, their Bacchanal, their Juve, their Caribbean festival, they're doing the same thing that our ancestors were doing back then. Then they get involved with drinking and doing illicit activities that's illegal according to the Bible. Many unwanted pregnancies happen during these events because people are doing things that they should not do, engaging in illicit activities that they should not do, dallying with harlotry. That's what the Bible is talking about. Watch this. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighboring cities of the heathen, aka the Gentiles, by the suggestion of Ptolemy. Remember, Ptolemy was one of the descendants of the Greeks and the Romans, aka the Idumeans, against the Israelites, against the Hebrews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the religion or the manners of the Gentiles should be put to deletion, that a man might have seen the present misery. So, in biblical times, did our ancestors want to be with the Greeks, or did they want to separate themselves from the Greeks? Put 1 in the chat if you agree that our ancestors were suffering from misery and wanted to separate from the Greeks. Put a 2 in the chat if you're confused. So you had traders that were going around convincing our people to be involved in sporting events. They were convincing our people to be involved with Greek religion. They were convincing our people to worship Bacchus, Zeus, the Olympic Games. All of this is in the hidden writings of the Bible known as the Apocrypha. Now we know why. In 1807, the Bishop of London tried to create a slave Bible to remove books out of the Bible so that way people wouldn't listen to the information presented. In order to perpetuate a lie, people have to withhold information from you because knowledge is power. If you understand the mechanisms of false religion, sports like discus, traders among your people that want you to go over to the religious practices and how our ancestors were held captive by the Greeks, then you would say, I want nothing to do with Gentile religion, Gentile way of life, Gentile customs, Gentile food. Their lifestyles lead to destruction. Idolatry, fornication, unaliving, captivity. All of these are amalgamated in the political, religious, scientific, educational systems of Babylon. So now what are solutions? What are some of the solutions that our ancestors had? We need to remember who we are and where we come from in order to not fall for the same trick. Because guess what? The Bible says, you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. If you don't know where you come from, you're not going to know where you're going. So we in the Afrohebraic community must return back to the way of our ancestors. Here are some solutions. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. It says, in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt at Modin. And he had 5 sons, Jonan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thassi, Judah, who was called Maccabeus, or Maccabee, Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname is Aphis, or Aphael. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me, sorrow is me. Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell therein, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. You see that? So when the Gentiles came into power, we see that our forefathers were in misery because of it. Let's jump down to verse 12. It says, let's read on. It says, her temple is become a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. Meaning what? The Gentiles to this day, unalive black and brown people in the streets of Western civilization. Verse 10, what nation has not had part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bond slave, This is how you know this is talking about black and brown people, y'all. Of a free woman, you were made to be free. But the Gentiles, when they're in power, they want to dominate and make you their bond slave. That's what we're reading in the Bible. It says, and behold, our sanctuary, meaning our temple, our church, even our beauty, our glory, is laid waste. And the Gentiles have profaned it. Now, the word profane, folks, literally means to make ungodly or to secularize, to make worldly. Today's society, you cannot tell a difference between a Christian and a regular person. If I go to Walmart right now and I see a woman in spandex, I will not know whether she's a Christian or if she's a streetwalker. There are women in Christian communities that dress like women in the world. If I go to Walmart and I observe a brother, he will be dressed like a person that's in the gang culture, gang lifestyle. I cannot tell just by looking at him whether he believes in the Bible or is a believer or not. I can't tell. Because the way we conduct ourselves, there's no separation between righteous and unrighteous, clean and unclean. You should watch this. I'm gonna give an example. Let's do a kind of interactive show and tell. Write it in the comment section after I ask this question. If you see someone in a lab coat, would you assume that they're a doctor? Right? You're gonna do a quick poll. Write a smiley face if you agree. Put a sad face if you disagree. Quick poll. Let's tap on that real quick. If you see somebody in a lab coat, would you assume that they're a doctor? Put a smiley face or put a sad face. Let me gauge to see what people are thinking. All right, we got a smiley face. We got 2 smiley faces. Good, good, good. So that's showing us that we understand that observations of what someone looks like can tell who they are. Very easy to understand that. So now the same thing goes for this Bible. If you understand that you were made to be royalty, you wouldn't conduct yourself as other people. These are going into the solutions that the Bible gives us. What we eat is important. What we wear is important. How we conduct ourselves is important. What Christians like to use, their heart posture, that term they like to use, what's in your mind, how you carry yourself, that's important. Now, how did our ancestors deal with the atrocities of the Gentiles? Let's find out. Let's read on. Let's jump down to verse 19. It says, Then Mattathias answered with a loud voice, Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall everyone from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. You see that? So our ancestors, one of the solutions is separating yourselves from the way of the Gentiles and following the way of life of your ancestors. Your ancestors was Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Your ancestors were King David, King Solomon. Your ancestors was not Alexander the Greek, Antiochus Epiphanes, Julius Caesar, George Washington. That was not your ancestors. So every nation follows the dictates of Germanic, Greco-Roman, Western civilization ideologies, political stances, democratic values, Republican values, economic values, military strategies. They all follow the West. But our forefather Mattathias, let me read it again. And Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren, y'all know this talking about black folks here. When you say, hey, my brethren, my people, my kinfolk, y'all know that's talking about black and brown people. right? Mi hermanos, mi raza. Y'all know that's talking about black and brown people. You see? It says, we will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, meaning God's laws, either on the right hand or to the left. God forbid. God forbid. What does the word God forbid mean? It means no. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. So when a dumb Christian pastor tell you, you don't got to keep the laws of the Bible, tell them God forbid. Tell them no. When a dumb Islamic imam comes and tells you, you don't got to follow the Bible, you got to follow the Quran, tell them God forbid. When a person that's in the religion of Judaism and secular atheism tells you to go follow the Kabbalah and Talmudism and witchcraft and Kabbalistic mysticism, tell them God forbid. Join my Baptist church. Join my Calvinist church. Join my apologetics. Join my Catholic. Join my Seventh-day Adventist. God forbid. We're going to do what the Bible says. We're going to keep the commandments. We're not going to follow your religion anymore. Come worship Satan Claus. Come worship Easter. Come worship Thanksgiving. God forbid. God forbid. God forbid. Let's read on. It says, Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. So you always got one backstabber, one betrayer, one simpleton that always wants to follow the Gentiles. Watch this. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. You ever got so mad, y'all, where your body starts to shake, your hands shaking up and down? You like, yo, I can't control myself. I'm so mad. You ever was so mad that your stomach starts to rumble and your feet start to shake? You ever got so mad that you could feel your blood boiling and cursing, like coiling through your body? Has that ever happened to y'all? I know that's happened to me a couple of times where I got so agitated. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You making me mad. And you like shaking to the bones. That's what happened to Mattathias. Now watch this. It says, which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Wow. Our forefather saw this man going and eating the Christmas ham, and he ran up on him and was like, sling, swords everywhere, swords flying everywhere, right? This thing is amazing. I'm picturing it in my mind like a movie. Also, the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he deleted at that time. Wow. And he pulled down the altar. Wow. He ran into the Christian church, flipped the table over just like Christ, right? Went into the back of the kitchen, tore up the kitchen and threw all the pork and the ham hocks on the floor. I'm trying to picture this in my mind in modern times, right? And then the person said, you gotta worship these gods or else. And he said, or else, and he pulled out the sword. It was like shling, 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 fighting, boom, boom. So I'm seeing this in my mind like a movie, y'all. I'm seeing this in my mind like a movie. This is beautiful. Verse 26. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phineas did unto Zambri, the son of Salam. So now, many people don't know the story of Phineas. So now we're going to go to the historical reference of Phineas, so that way we know what that's talking about. The story of Phineas goes into the book of Numbers chapter 25, where the children of Israel were trying to get into the promised land, and one of the wicked witches named Balaam was working with Balak to deceive the children of Israel to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab in order for them to worship their gods. So basically they had a barbecue, a cookout, a party let's say a Thanksgiving celebration, and they invited a whole bunch of black Asian women to come and party with them with music and all of that. And then they started serving their gods, bowing down to their gods, worshiping their gods, all of that. So we're going to go to Numbers chapter 25, and we're going to read about Phineas. Numbers chapter 25, verse 1. It says, "And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people into the sacrifice of their gods, and the people did eat." This is your Christmas ham right here. "And bowed down to their gods, their gods." So now the gods of the Moabites was Baal Peor, Chemosh, Moloch, Esther, Baal Zebub, right? These are all the gods of the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Midianites, and all of them, right? It says, "And the people did eat and bow down to their gods." That breaks the first commandment. Don't bow down to no other gods. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. "And Israel joined himself to Baal Peor," that's Baal Zebub, that's Satan, "and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Israel." So God got mad. "And the Lord said unto Moses, Take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the sun, against the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may be turned away from Israel." So God told Moses, "Hey, you deal with them. Because if I touch them, I'm going to wipe all of y'all out." He said, "You deal with them, Moses." "And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, Slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitess woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation." So now picture this in your mind. You're having church service. You're praying to God, asking for mercy on your people, but your sons, your daughters are in the club, dancing with strange nations, eating bad food, worshiping their gods, and in the midst of fornication. And here comes one of your sons with a woman of another nation and bringing her right in front of the church, in front of everybody, to say, "Oh, that's my girlfriend, that's my boo thing," and then taking her in the back of the church in front of everybody and wanting to fornicate with her. This is what they're dealing with, y'all. This is what they're dealing with. Now watch this. Verse 7. "And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly." So the man was on top of the woman. He thrust the javelin through the man and it went to the woman. Y'all understand what was going on? So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. Now watch this. It says, "And those that unalived in the plague were 24,000. Wow. 24,000 people were unalived in this plague that happened. If Phineas didn't come down and stop it, more people would have been unalived, y'all. So y'all go around and mess around with these Moabites if you want to, right? Who are the Moabites today? Can somebody tell me who are the Moabites today? Put it in the chat. Who are the Moabites today? The Moabites used to live in the Transjordan region. During the time of the Babylonian captivity, they were brought over by the king of Babylon into Western Asia, and then they scattered further on into places like Mongolia, Manchuria, right? Correct. Oriental. Correct. So the Moabites today are what they call, quote unquote, Oriental, Asian, right? All right, from there, what are some more solutions? Let's go back to First Maccabees chapter 2. First Maccabees chapter 2. Let's start at verse 52. Let's start at verse 50. It says, "Now therefore, my sons." So now he is giving instruction to his sons on how to conduct themselves. "Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name." So what is he doing here? He's saying, remind your people about your ancestors in the Bible. Watch this, verse 52. "Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness?" So Abraham is an example. "Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt." That's another example. Joseph. "Phineas, our father," showing you Phineas was what we read in Numbers 25, right? "Phineas, our father, in being jealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood." Let's read that now in Numbers chapter 25, verse 10 to 13. Let's go to Numbers chapter 25 again, verse 10. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, hath turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consumed not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, Behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace, and he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God, and made the atonement for the children of Israel." You see that? So let's go back. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 54. "Phinehas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood." 55. "Jesus," now this is going into Joshua the son of Nun. "Jesus, for fulfilling the word, was made judge in Israel." Judge in Israel. 56. "Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land." Verse 57. "David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elias, aka Elijah, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of the lions, and thus consider throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome." So what is the solutions that we face here? When we're in a position of captivity, when we're in a position of being oppressed, we should be like our ancestors, trusting in him no matter what. When Daniel was cast in the den of lions, God delivered him. When Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah was thrown in the fiery furnace, God delivered them. When Abraham was tempted through a trial about his son almost being taken away from him, he said, God is the God of resurrection. He could resurrect my son regardless. And he trusted in him. And the Most High spared Isaac. When our forefathers were in the midst of a plague where 24,000 people were dropping dead like flies, God sent Phinehas, inspired through the Holy Ghost, to destroy one sinner to prevent all the other people from perishing. We got to understand the magnitude of this Bible. The solutions for us is turning back to the way of our ancestors. That's how we can overcome this world. Now watch this. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 62. "Fear not the words of sinful men, for the glory shall be dung and worms." Meaning what? These nations that have not had our best interests at heart, that have always threatened us, that have always done evil to us, that have always caused us harm, God says, do not fear man. because their end is worms and dung. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Let's go to the book of Judith, chapter 16. What's going to be the posterity of the wicked? What's going to happen to the posterity of the wicked? Let's go to Judith, chapter 16, verse 17. It says, woe to the nations that rise up against my kindred, my kindred. The Lord Almighty will take vengeance of them in the day of judgment, in putting fire and worms in their flesh, and they shall feel them and weep forever. So should we be afraid of the nations that are in power today? No. Watch this. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 62. Fear not then the words of sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found, because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Wherefore you, my sons, be valiant, be valiant, be valiant, be valiant, and show yourselves men in behalf of the law, for by it you shall obtain glory. Y'all see that? So our forefathers inspired our sons to be strong on behalf of the Bible, to be strong on behalf of the laws of our God. Y'all got to understand this. The Bible is our constitution, y'all. The Bible is not just a regular book. This is a book of prophecies, predictions, testimonies about our ancestors. The Bible is not a religious book. Gentiles took it and made a religion out of it. Your true religion is customs, practices that your ancestors participated in with faith in the Messiah. Faith of a deliverer, faith of a savior to deliver you from the hand of the Gentiles. What we eat, what we wear, how we conduct ourselves. Do we care for the orphans? Do we care for the fatherless? Do we have integrity? Are we loyal to one another? Do we love one another? That's the laws of God in a nutshell. Let's read on. Verse 65. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you. Meaning, we always had intellectuals that were filled with the wisdom of God to give us guidance and counsel on how we conducted ourselves as a people. Right now, black and brown people are just winging it. We think that our own thoughts can help us to do things correctly. We fail to go to one another and seek advice. The best thing we could do when it comes to every aspect of our lives is to get advice. Hey, what does the Bible say about marriage? What does the Bible say about relationships? What does the Bible say about raising children? What does the Bible say about finances? What is the Bible? The Bible should be the guideline of how you conduct your life. What other way will you? It's like people have an open book test and they fail in the test. It's right in the book. Watch this. It says, as for Judas Maccabees, he hath been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. Meaning what? We had counselors and we had military strategists. A nation cannot exist without councils, think tanks, universities, intellectuals, right? Studious people that are familiar with nature, that are familiar with the sciences, that are familiar with actual biblical-based information, and then military strategists, police, judges, right? To protect the people and to protect their best interests. If you don't have these things, a society cannot be established. So in combination to your culture, you have military men established. So now for us as believers, guess what? That's going to be Christ and the angels on Judgment Day. Christ and the angels are going to fight the battle for us. You're going to see the day when all of these Gentiles in their Space Force, their Air Force, their Navy, they're going to try to fight against Christ and the angels. And guess what? They're going to lose horribly. It's already predicted in the Bible. And you see the same commander-in-chief that set up a Space Force, he's back in power now. So you know they're going to ramp up their efforts to develop this Space Force technology and the Space Force Command prior to Christ coming back. You just know it. So when World War III pops off and all these nations are at war, they're going to see Christ and the angels jump on the scene. And just like Mattathias, Simon, and Maccabeus was set up to fight against the heathen, now our forefathers are going to do the same thing. Now the angels are going to do the same thing. And we shall be resurrected. We shall be resurrected to fight against, we're going to have immortal bodies to fight against these nations, y'all. I'm telling you. I'm telling you what's going to happen before it happens. That way you can believe this Bible is a true book. Because we're talking about solutions, right? Returning back to your ancestors. Y'all, I got way more scriptures I could cover, but I think we're going to end it there. Did y'all enjoy the live? Did y'all enjoy the discussion? I hope y'all did. We're celebrating the Feast of Dedication coming up soon in the month of December. And we're going to have more discussions on the books of the Maccabees that were taken out of the Bible. You know, I wanted to keep this discussion short. I didn't want it to be too long-winded because I know black folks, y'all got the attention span of a movie. So if it goes more than 2 hours, all of a sudden everybody's like, I'm lost. I don't know. Where am I? I'm confused. I forgot what you was talking about. So we're going to end the live, and I pray that this class was rewarding for you. Subscribe to the Forefront Radio on Spotify, iHeartRadio. We do have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is the Forefront Radio 2.0 and the Forefront Radio 1. If we get up to 1,000 followers on YouTube, then we can get monetization on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed on YouTube right now, go to YouTube, type the Forefront Radio 2.0. Guess what? This platform reaches well over 100,000 views within less than 2 months. But we don't have people to support our efforts to share independent media. We can't do this without you. The Forefront Radio is an independent podcast system set up, and we have a community of like-minded believers. We need your support. We want to encourage you to join our efforts to teach this information, because guess what? Our pastors, unfortunately, while we do appreciate them, many of them have not been taught correctly, so they have failed us. Our educators in the education system, they have failed us. It is up to us as men to stand together and educate our daughters, our sons, our wives, our family, our people, and let them know the truth. Because the Bible says you're going to know the truth, and the truth is going to make you free. Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, will this lesson be on YouTube? Yes, I'm going to download this and air it on YouTube. So yes, it's going to appear on YouTube. Also, I have a series already on the books of Maccabees. If you just go to the YouTube channel, the Forefront Radio 2.0, and go to the playlist section, you can watch all our videos that we have about the Maccabees. I have several different discussions on it, an entire playlist where you can gain a lot more information and insight instead of one TikTok live. You can watch it at your leisure. You can pause it. You can write down, take notes. Make sure you have a notebook whenever we go over discussions, so that way you can write down the information and go back and study it for yourselves. All right, so a replay of this discussion will be available on YouTube. So go right now to the Forefront Radio 2.0, the Forefront Radio 2.0, and you'll see my same logo, okay? The logo looks like this. Okay, you'll see this same logo, the Forefront Radio, right? Go to YouTube. Once you see that logo, then you'll know that that's my channel. And we'll get into, sharing more information. I pray that this discussion was rewarding for you all. May the Most High watch over you and bless you and cause his face to shine upon you all. And also, since we are in Africa, you do know that the resources are limited. If you desire to do so and you appreciate our content, feel free to contribute to our Cash App, which is APFL HIELLEVI. Whatever you have to spare. If it's worth 2 gallons of gas, $10, $20, $100, $500, whatever you spare, it will go a long way in us developing resources to help the diaspora and to teach our people. Remember, the Bible says you're going to know the truth, and the truth is going to make you free. So we need your support in teaching this truth. All right. The history of the Maccabees is a hidden history that many of our people don't know, and it's up to us to educate our people on these topics. A replay of this live will be available on YouTube, and it'll starting from December. So you'll have more episodes December 1st, December 2nd, December 3rd. We're going to go every class. We're going to air it directly for the replay on YouTube for free. All we ask, you send a small contribution to our efforts so that way we can keep the lights on, we can keep the internet active, we can make sure all the things are taken care of here in Africa. We could set up the schools, we can, set up our documentaries, and all the information that we want to share with our people gets set up independently without the influence of Western media. Because I guarantee you, if I have to go to a supporter like a Roth Foundation or some sort of political or universal institution, they're going to try to block it. Once again, the Cash App is $A as in Apple, P as in Paul, H as in hat, I as in igloo, E as in elephant, L as in Lion of Judah, L as in Levi, E as in elephant, V as in violin, and I as in igloo. APHIEL. Your contributions go a long way in helping us to keep the lights on so we can keep spreading this truth, y'all. All right. So we appreciate everyone that's joined. For the 100 and plus people that were in the room that dwindled down to 40 people. We appreciate you all, even the scoffers that heard information and insight that they never heard in church. We appreciate you as well. Some of y'all that just followed, let me make sure I go to the top viewers and let me follow you as well. So the top viewers on my list today is D, Auntie Doll, Miss Red, Colton 162, Ivan Rice, Teeny, Weenie, N Planch, Britain Concepts, Val, Trey, Johnny Rodriguez, Thea, Real Talk Part 1, Devale Thornton, MT Brooks, Kelvin Pulliam, Clyde Franklin, 47, Dre, Ryan Morrow, Amy, Charles Banks, Demi Williams Barnes, Byron 1978, Mark Johnson, User 3589, Bruce Ward, Crawford Wilson, Ayadasta Ayo, Gruntes, The Most High Kingdom _come, Elites, WDB, Big Mama, Bethany Patterson, Marion Smith, Anita, Jerome, 3053. Those are the top viewers for today. I appreciate you all being consistent on this discussion. Make sure you follow my account. I'll follow you as well. I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate your listenership. Feel free to subscribe to the Forefront Radio for more updates. Follow this account, y'all. And make sure you have all the notifications active. For some reason, social media really tries to block. I get notifications by people that they say, hey, I didn't get a notification when you went live, Brother Forefront. So if you click on it, make sure you click the notification so that way all of our episodes get aired right to your phone, okay? We're also available on Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're also on Pandora. We're on Amazon Music. We're on Audible. So just type the Forefront Radio on all of these streaming platforms and you'll be able to find it. Follow our accounts all across social media. All right? So whenever we air something, you'll be able to get it directly to your phone for free. Okay? So this is listener supported. We appreciate all the support, whether financially, whether prayers, right? We appreciate all of you that join in our discussions on a continual basis. Make sure you share it with your family, because I know a lot of times when it comes to our history, it's hidden. Many of our people don't have an interest in our history, but it's important for us to know who we are and where we come from. Okay? All praises to the Most High. All right, y'all. Shalom to you all. Peace to the 12. May the Most High bless you.